Hello everybody, thank you for joining me for the first of our series of videos that cover the basics or an introduction to spirituality. So I'm going to be doing a lot of short videos because I feel that that is going to be most suitable for everybody. Our first one is starting at the beginning, and we all need to start with ourselves, because when I asked the guides where do we need to start with the series, the words that came into my head were know thyself. So the theme of today's video is learning to know thyself. They told me that any good practice starts with knowing where you end and everybody else begins. If you don't know who you are, or where you end, or which energy is your energy, it's very easy for you to get caught up in other people's stories and manipulated by their energy, or influenced by the energy. And I find this a lot with empaths, where their life is a series of storms and they can't understand why. And it's simply because, as an empath, I can relate to it. When you know where your energy ends and somebody else's energy begins, it gets a lot easier for you to disentangle yourself from other people's stuff. Because remember, if you were meant to deal with it, it would be yours. If it's happening to somebody else, it means that it's their responsibility to sort out and process and make different decisions going forward. So knowing yourself can be done by making best friends with yourself, by creating a relationship with yourself. And it's very easy for us human beings, because we're always projecting externally. We want to help everybody else, and we want to be of service to other people and guide them and give them advice and whatever else. But very often we forget about ourselves and the advice that we need and the guidance that we need and the time that we need to spend with ourselves. And that's basically where the guides are wanting to start today's lesson, is to say that you need to start with knowing who you are. Now, there is this misconception that is going around the spiritual community, and it's been doing so for many years now, that we are just spiritual beings in a meat suit, and the guides are saying that that is so disrespectful to yourself, because no, you're not just a meat suit. Your soul lined up and feels very lucky and grateful to have had the privilege of being physically incarnated, because there are certain lessons and certain experiences and certain knowledge and yes, just the experience that's gained from having physical limitations. So they're saying that as human beings, we think that there's this superiority that needs to happen. So, well, I'm very spiritual, so I'm going to disregard my meat suit, And they're saying no, because everyone and everything is a three-part process. You are a higher self, you are your physical body, and you are also your personality. So when your personality or your ego is wanting something, the ego's perspective is a little bit different to the soul perspective, and that is where the experience of being human becomes so very important, because most of us are here, and so far I've found in my many years of doing one-on-one consultations, there isn't a single person that I've come across that hasn't had one of their life lessons or soul purposes of being able to, or learning to, manifest with physical limitations. Okay, so learning how to move energy, balance energy, work with energy, manifest through energy, through and while still limited by their physical existence. Okay, so by you disregarding your so-called meat suit, you actually insulting your soul's choices, because before you incarnated, your soul would have looked at a lot of bodies, and each body has a storyline attached to it. So it's almost like in the old days we used to go through the video store, or go through a library, and you pull out the video and you read the back and you go, oh, okay, that sounds a bit interesting, but not today. And you put it back and you take the next one out and you read the blurb at the back, until you eventually find one to say, oh, that sounds interesting. It suits the mood that I'm in at the moment and what I'm wanting to learn. And you take that one home and you process it, watch it, read it, live it. So this is what they're saying, is that your soul would have gone through that library of options in order to choose the exact right body with the exact right life experiences, good and bad. All right, because unfortunately for us human beings, we learn the most during tough times. And as my guides like to remind me, is that bad is a matter of perspective. So what's bad for the body is not, it might be good for the soul, good for the karma, or good for the learning, or the relatability, or the being able to help other people through the understanding of where they are and what they're going through, and it makes you a little bit more relatable. Okay, whether it's to the person, the situation, or the experience, or having come through the experience. So it's us human beings that tend to label things good or bad, and the good or bad, like I say, is actually based on a false premise. So the very first thing that your guides would like you to know and would like you to implement is for you to actually get in touch with yourself. And how you're going to do that is a process that was made, I think, commercially available to people through Louise Hay, which she termed mirror work. And I think her guides and my guides must have had a chat, because my guides have been talking about this for a very long time. And then only years later, I found that she was doing the same thing and teaching her people the same thing. So that means if there's more than one person doing it, must be the right thing. So mirror work, taking a mirror in the morning when you brush your teeth, or for the ladies when you're doing your hair or your makeup, or whatever it is that you're doing when you're standing in front of a mirror. Look into the person's eyes. So often we look at our hair, and we look at our wrinkles, and we look at our laughter lines, and we look at our blemishes, and and we pass judgment. It's like, oh, you're looking a bit rough today, or geez, I can see those dark circles, you didn't sleep very well last night, or oh, the cheeks are a little bit on the puffy side. And we're very quick to pass judgment and condemnation on the reflection that's looking back at us. Very seldom do we actually even look into that person's eyes. And when we look into the eyes, it becomes very real for us that there's an actual person staring back at us, or looking back at us. And it only takes a couple of seconds, really. Look into your eyes and acknowledge the person looking back at you. Acknowledge the emotion that you see in those eyes is for this purpose of talking about myself. Is she or he, are they looking sad? Are they looking afraid? Are they looking tired? Are they looking distracted? And acknowledge that, because a lot of the time we, as I said, we are very fast to condemn ourselves, but very slow um, to support ourselves in a way that is important. So if you're feeling a little bit worried, afraid, stressed, maybe uncertain about how you're actually even feeling, or what you're going through, or what you're going to be going through, what you're anticipating, maybe just speak to her the way that you would like to be spoken to. Speak to your reflection and say, listen, I don't know how we're going to sort this stuff out, but all I know is that given our history together, we will find a way. We will sort it out. We will manage it. We will ask for help if we need to. We will be open to receiving any messages from the guardians, guides, angels, the higher self. And we will look out for all of those positive messages, quotes, song words, information that drops into the head. So I want to say pacify, but I feel more like become friends with her, so that she can let you know what's happening in your subconscious mind, so that your conscious mind can then work with the subconscious mind in order to give you a more positive or a more manageable life experience for that day. And at the end of the day, if you've had a tough day, look her in the eye when you're brushing your teeth before you go to sleep, and look in the eye and go, today was a bit tough, well done, you're still here. you know so by knowing who you are and treating her the way that you would treat somebody else, a stranger, because we're very quick to help strangers. We're very quick to extend a hand of sympathy and empathy and support to people outside of our body. And your guide just wants you to turn that around and extend that same loving, supportive, respectful gesture to yourself that lives inside of your body. Because trust me, she is, or he is, they are feeling a certain way because of a particular reason. Nobody makes this stuff up. And everybody needs to know that they are heard, and everybody needs to know that they are seen, and everybody needs to know that they're supported in some way. So for you to do that for your inner self is really going to go a long way in terms of you making contact with and creating connection with that soul self that's inside of you, that up until this point you might have just been labeling your meat suit. Okay, so then I'll go a little bit further into this in another video, but the guides just say that this is where they want to start. You need to know who you are before you can help anybody else. There is the analogy that they always give us to say, oxygen mask on self first before you try and put oxygen mask on everybody else, because if you're dashing around trying to put oxygen masks on everybody else, you're going to neglect yourself, and in that kind of situation your demise would happen quite quickly, and then you wouldn't be able to help anybody else. So honestly, the quicker you put your own oxygen mask on, the more useful you will be to the world outside. First, we need to fill up our own cups before we're able to pour that out onto anybody else's lives. Okay, so we will chat again later, and for now, that's all that I've got for you. Bye for now.